Rahim. Our today's topic is from the series of the lectures of demography that we have covered most of the aspects of demography. The important points actually the demography is such a big topic that there is a separate master course and the PhDs in the disciplines of demography, and there was a separate department of demography in Karachi University. So covering it in just 2 or 3 lectures is not that easy, but here the aim is only to introduce you with the important points of the demography and those aspects especially of the demography which are related to our medical practices and medical knowledge and medical populations and community which come in contact with us. So in this our third lecture we will see that what are the different demographic measures and what are the different aspects that affect or effect the demography or the population variation in a country or in a community or in a group of people. And you know very well from your previous knowledge that a study of population variation. So how this population, how changes in the population you have come across the fertilities, and you know the measurement of these through the rates and the ratios and the proportions, and you now know the age and sex proportions and contributions in population of different countries, and you very well know here the population pyramids of different countries, the developing countries and the developed countries, and you know the difference is increasing with a fast growth rate and of those countries where the population is sustained at a replacement level or even it is decreasing. So you know the difference in between the different population segments age-wise and sex-wise, and you know that what happened is happening to the countries where children are getting born, and what is the situation in those countries where the elder populations are more and less number of the children are getting born. You know what the dependency ratio is, that how many peoples are dependent on those who are earning. The ratio of the specific transition, the stages, the high fertility, then mortality starts declining, but the birth do not start declining, and then the third stage where the deaths has declined to a marked extent, but the births has just started declining, and then the fourth stage where the birth and low are both lower level. So in the first stage, high mortality and high births, more deaths are occurring, population is not increasing. And in the last stages, where less number of the children are getting born and less deaths are occurring, so the population is not increasing. But in the middle two stages, the population is increasing. And this was the demographic, the demographic trap, where the developing countries are being trapped in these stages. They are being trapped in the stage number 2 and stage number 3, that the death is declined because of the better socioeconomic condition, better food supply, better nutrition, better sanitation, better water supply, better medical services, better treatments options, better vaccinations. Death has declined, but they are not declining their birth rates. So more number of the children are getting born, less number of the peoples are dying. Population is increasing. Population bomb phenomena is getting arised, originated there. So population, so there are less resources to be distributed or spent on those increasing population again, and they go back into the first stage high birth rates. So this is what the demographic trap, and we have gone across all these things. So now see what is new here that further we want to see. Now see this transparency, and this is your this is your population of Pakistan in millions. Now in 1900, what was the population of Pakistan at the time when the Pakistan was being formed? It was only 32.5 million of this area of the Pakistan. And in 1901, this population was 16.6 million. Now see, from 1901 and 1947, or see 1951, in 50 years, this population almost doubled. This population almost doubled in 50 years. But the next doubling from 33 to 66 almost, this occurred only in 20 years. Okay, and then what was expected that in 2025, okay, the population of Pakistan will be around 208 millions. And this is what the projections are being done that I explained you in the previous lecture, that how can we calculate or predict the population in the next 10 years or 20 years. So it was predicted in the year 2025, the population of Pakistan will be slightly more than 200. 208 million. But what happened? Okay, all the predictions went wrong. The prediction was being done or calculating, but the birth rate did not decline, and the population increased with more speed as was expected. And right now, the population of Pakistan is near about 220 millions in 2020, and we are 5 years apart, 5 years ago from 225, the predicted population. You see, of the peoples, and it was among number one in the top ranked, having more population, biggest population of the world. But what will happen in the next few years? That China will become on the second rank in the world as far as the number of peoples are concerned, and India will cross the China's number of peoples are concerned, and India will cross the China. The population of China will be 1,400, or say near about 1,500, and this is 1,600. Pakistan, see, for the Pakistan, this is ranked number 12. This was ranked number 12 in 1950 amongst the population ranking of the world, but it is near about number 7 in the year 2000, and it is supposed to be the fourth largest country as far as population of the peoples are concerned in 2050, with the estimated population of 346, near about 34.5 crore. At the time, this is 22 crore, 220 million near about. So now see, Japan, which was in 1950 the fifth largest country of the world as far as the population is concerned, it declined in the ranking. And it came to 8 in the year 2000, and it will come to 17 in the year 2015. So another country which is following Pakistan is the Nigeria. See, Nigeria was 31st amongst the ranking in 1950 with near about 13 million population, but it will become number 6. It is increasing its population with a fast pace. So these are the situations of different countries, and you can see what the different countries are doing with them and with their populations and with their economy, etc. Look for the example of Bangladesh here. This is very interesting, and you can compare it with the different countries. Bangladesh was 42 in 1950. This is the population of the geographical area which is now the Bangladesh. At that time, it was in combined area. It was as East Pakistan combined with Pakistan. In 2000, from number 10, it increased its population, came to number 9. And in 2050, it will be the 8th largest country. It is increasing its population, but not with that fast pace as the Pakistan and Nigeria are doing. So we have to follow the examples of these countries, the Bangladesh, the China, and you will, in the further slides, you will see what the Sri Lanka is doing and others. So this is what the comparison, the numeric comparison of the different countries of the world. Pakistan today has one of the highest population growth rates and poorest records of human development indicators, especially those related to literacy level and the health status of the women and children. And what data supports these statements? Highest population growth rate, poorest records of human development indicators, and the poor literacy levels and status of the women and health children. And besides, over the years, Pakistan has experienced a minimum improvement in these indicators. Let's say the different economic indicators and different indicators, health indicators and demographic indicators of the Pakistan and the some selected Asian countries. See, the crude birth rate of Iran, that was 45 in 1977, and it is 21. So the birth rate has decreased of Iran. Okay, then see the population growth rate of Iran, which was in 1972.9, near about 3. And according to, if the growth rate is 2, the population will be doubled in 35 years. So with the growth rate of 2.9, the population will double in near about 23 years. But now, what is the growth rate of Iran? It is 1.6, near 2. Okay, then number of infant mortality rate. It was in 1960, infant mortality rate of Iran was 164. What does it mean? That out of every 1,000 children who are being born alive, 164 dies before their first birthday within the age of 1 year. But now the infant mortality rate, this is very sensitive indicator, infant mortality rate, and it very rapidly changes within years. It is only 30 now. That means if 1,000 number of the children are being born in Iran today, only 30 of them will die before the 1 year of age. What is the situations of Pakistan? See, it was the crude birth rate in 1970 per 1,000 population was 48, and this birth rate is 32. It's still very high. It has declined very slightly. Now see, the crude birth rate of Bangladesh in 1970 was 48, and it went to 28. Okay, so the birth declined. It is almost near about half. So, but the Pakistan did not decline their birth rate in that pace as the other countries are doing, like India from 39 to 25. And see, the population growth rate, which was 2.9, near about 3. No, it compare it with Iran and Bangladesh. Here 2.7, here 2.9. Iran, that's almost. India was slightly less in 1978 in the birth rate too. But still, what these countries did, their birth rate is 1.6, 1.6, 1.7 growth rate, and Pakistan's growth rate is still 2.4, from 2.9 to 2.4, only half percent decreased in population growth rate. And this is what which is causing problem, that we are not decreasing our growth rate, meaning we are not decreasing our birth rate, we are decreasing our death rates, but we are not decreasing our growth rates. Now again, see, infant mortality of Pakistan, which was 139 in the year 1960, it is still 100, and it is still 84. Means Pakistan has the highest infant mortality rate among these countries, which is 84, meaning 84 children out of every 1,000 children which are born alive are being died within their first birthday. See, what is fertility, and what are the factors on which this increased growth rate and demographic variation depends? These are the fertilities, these are the deaths, these are the births, and these are the deaths. Fertility is actually the number of children born to a woman. Okay, how many children a woman is going to born during her whole reproductive life? This is what we define the fertility is. Fecundity is another terminology, is the physiological ability of women to bear children. That physiologically, how many children women can bear, can possibly, okay, not practically. So this is the possibility, the theoretical imagination, that how many children women can bear. This is what the fecundity is. But in reality, how many children women is going to give birth? This is what the fertility is. The reproductive lifespan of women is 15 to 49 years. And there is, in these 15 to 49 years, how many children women can bear? This is what the fecundity is. But how many children in reality, in practically, these women are giving birth? This is what the fertility is. So the measures of fertility are, there are different measures in which, in the terms of which you can define the fertility of a country, and they may be the crude birth rate. And this is the simplest measure of fertility, and this is expressed as number of the live births in a year, and then the total population of that country in mid-year multiplied by 1,000. This 1,000 is year multiplied by 1,000. So suppose if total number of the children born in a year in a country, say 1,000, okay, and the total population, mid-year population of that country in that year was say 10,000. So, and 1,000 is the constant. Now, by that, you can calculate your the birth rate of that country. Then there is the general fertility rate, which is a refined measure over the crude birth rate, and only includes in the denominator those women who are in their reproductive ages. Thus, what is the difference in between the general fertility rate and the crude birth rate? The difference is only of the denominator. The numerator is the same, number of live births in the year, but in the denominator, instead of mid-year population, there comes population of the women in reproductive age, or in other words, number of the women in ages in between 15 to 49. So if you changes the denominator, the rate changes, and this becomes the general fertility rate multiplied by this 1,000, which is a constant. So these are the two measures, the crude birth rates and the general fertility rates. There are other measures as well, which are the age-specific fertility rate. Age-specific fertility rate is how many children a woman is going to give birth in different age groups. Okay. In general fertility rate, you generally calculate it throughout the whole lifespan, whole reproductive lifespan. Okay, but in the general fertility rate, you are calculating in one segment, averaged segment of the age. For example, live birth in a year to the woman age say in between 20 to 25. Okay, this is one segment of population, 5-year segment. So the denominator will ultimately be changed. Number of the women of that age group, meaning number of the women in between 20 to 25 years of age, and this will become the age specific fertility rate of the woman in between the ages of 20 to 25. Okay, age specific fertility rate usually calculated per woman, therefore it is not multiplied by 1000. See, there is no 1000, no constant here. So what the rate will become, it will be per woman. So meaning in between 20 to 25 years of age, every woman is going to give birth to how many children. This is what age fertility rate is, and this may be calculated for the ages of 25 to 30, 32. Starting from 15 to 49 is the reproductive age span is. So starting from 15 to 19, 20 to 24, 25 to 30, and in the different age groups up to the 49, you can calculate the age specific death rate. So this is simple that you have calculated the age specific death rates. Similarly, say the age group is 15 to 19. For example, say number of women in between the age group to 15 to 19 is 3,100, and total number of the children they give birth is 255. So age specific fertility rate will become A divided by B, 0.082. That means every woman will give birth to 0.082 number of the children, and the percent of women who gave birth 8.2 out of these 3,001. Of women giving birth in 25 to 29 years, and in 30 to 34 years, 21% of women are giving birth to children. So this is how fertile, how frequent is the number of the children are being born in different age groups, and this is because most of the marriages of the females or the girls are being occurred after 20 and in between to 20 to 30 years of age in our area. If you sum up all these, okay, and then divide them by the sum of B, it will become the total fertility, general fertility rate, all the 15 to 49, everything came here. It will become the general fertility rate. Fertility of women tends to vary substantially by age. It is lower at the younger ages, below 20, and substantially higher in the 20s, shows as down trend in the 30s and reaches close to zero in the late 40s. You saw in the previous table. Thus, the age-specific fertility curve is close to a bell-shaped, that is starting from lower side, going high in the middle ages, and then sliding in the late ages. In most societies, highest age-specific fertility rate is reported in ages of 25 to 29, as shown in the previous table as well. You saw, and then total fertility rate, age-specific fertility rate is not summary measure, but a set of 7 numbers. It is, however, helps in determining total fertility rate, which expresses fertility in a summary form, calculated as total fertility rate is equal to sum of age-specific fertility rates multiplied by 5. This is divided by 5. We will calculate it. Since age-specific fertility rates are calculated in 5 years age intervals, therefore it is necessary to multiply the summation of age-specific fertility rates by 5. Thus, it is multiplied. Thus, from the above example, total fertility rate of Pakistan in 1996 was total fertility rate is equal to 1.053 multiplied by 5 is equal to 5.26. Now see the previous slide. Okay. This, okay, if you will divide, if you will sum up this all age specific fertility rates, this is 1.053, and you will multiply it by 5, you will get the total fertility rate. Okay, This number indicates that by the time a woman interviewed in 1996, okay, would reach the end of their reproductive years, that is by 49 years, on average, she will bear 5.3 children. Thus, total fertility rate is a projection of the fertility using the data of the current age-specific fertility rates. So it is a statistical representation. Now, this is the same. The age fertility rates in 1996 and 1984, the sum of these age-specific fertility rate, if you will multiply it by 5, it will become total fertility rate. This is like that. Sum is this 1.270 multiplied by 5. The total fertility rate will become 6.35. This is in 1984, 6.35 children a woman was giving born. In 1996, 5.26, and this is declining. But this is declining with the very low pace. Now see, age-specific fertility rates in Pakistan in from 1984 to 2006. See, the red mark is 84 and green mark is 96 and the black mark is 2016. At every age specific fertility rate of 2006 is less as compared to 1980, but this decrease is not that substantial, is not that marked, which was required. Now see, the age-specific fertility in India and Bangladesh has declined rapidly as compared to Pakistan. Now see, this green line is Pakistan. The age-specific fertility rate from 6.5 went to near about 4.8, near about 5, from 1950 to 2000, but most 3. And the Bangladesh has declined very sharply, very progressively, and from 6.8 or 6.7, it came to near about 3.2. So this type of the decline is Pakistan and Bangladesh. And these are the growth rates of Pakistan and Bangladesh in different areas. Bangladesh is blue, and from 2.8 they went to 1.7, but Pakistan from 3.4 they went to only 2.4 from 1975 up till 2000, and this is the decline. So we are not moving with the pace as is required. Again, see, the Bangladesh and Pakistan and Pakistan did it, and now the Pakistan station is Bangladesh. So there are two types of the measures of fertility. They are the period measures versus the other measure is the cohort measure. The period measure of fertility uses current information. For example, in chart that the population of Pakistan was expected in 2000 Sorry for this technical interruption. So, example of the period measures, an odd year for everyone giving birth, period measures will greatly overestimate fertility. The opposite is true when there are a small number of the births. So this is not the actual or the practical measurement. These are the calculated or the predicted measurements on the basis of current statistics. But the cohort measure are the real and the observed and practical measures. Okay. Cohort measures of fertility, if we have information about fertility of the women who have already passed through childbearing year, it is possible to obtain a true cohort measure of fertility instead of describing a hypothetical situation. This describes actual childbearing experience. For example, 8 years of age. And you are asking of the total number of the children who has passed reproductive life. This is what the cohort measure is. But if you are interviewing 30 age rates of different age groups, and you follow that in the previous years she has is the cohort fertility. Then there is another CEB, which is children ever born. Mean number of the children, another measure of fertility, which takes into account the reproductive behavior of a group of women over their reproductive lifespan. When in different age of birth, therefore it's important that mean child ever born is calculated for each group separately. Okay, so mean CEB, mean children ever born, are the total number of the children born to a woman in any age group, 15 to 19, 20 to 25, and number of women in that age group. Likely there was the age to the age group of the woman, and this is multiplied by 1,000. So these are the calculation of that. Number of the women in different age to females, total number of live births is the 343. So, and similarly, you can calculate all these. Okay. Since almost all women end childbearing by age 49, the mean children ever born of women in age group of 45 to 49 is an indicator of fertility. Those who are 45 to 49 at the time of interview gave birth to an average of 7.5 children in their reproductive life. You see here, see 45 to 49 aged women, these were 362. They give birth to 2,700 children in their previous whole life. And from here we can say that every woman or most of the women it is not an indicator of the current fertility. This is an indicator of the previous fertility. Age-specific countries. Now here you can see the countries of the Yemen, Pakistan, Indonesia, and Italy. And the Pakistan is blue. Other than Yemen, leaving the Yemen, Pakistan's age fertility rate as at every age group is more than these countries. Now see, the Italy, at every age group, their fertility rate is very, very less. They are, say, near about 1 or 1.5. Okay. 4 major factors determine the fertility levels in a society. Okay, and these factors they are known as the proximate determinants of the fertility, or socio-biological factors affecting fertility. Proportions of married among females, how many females are being married, at what age groups, exposure to reproduction, that means then the contraceptive use and effectiveness, and then the fertility control through contraception, prevalence of induced abortion, okay, pregnancy wasted, and duration of breastfeeding. Duration of breastfeeding is a measure of contraception, you know, and the breastfeeding increases the composition, the release of the prolactin, and the prolactin acts as a contraceptive, hormonal contraceptive. So these are 4 factors: how many females married, proportion of married females, use of the contraceptives, the percentage of abortions, and duration of breastfeeding. See, today contraceptive use have major effects in effects on fertility, and the contraceptive prevalence. See, the contraceptive prevalence in different countries. In China, 83% of the women are using contraceptives. In Indonesia, Iran, 74%. And now Iran is an Islamic country. Now see, 74% of the women are using contraceptive. In Indonesia, this is an Islamic country, 60%. There is use of contraceptive. In Nepal, 28%. India, 48%. In Pakistan, only 28% of the females are using any contraceptive measures. Now, what this use of contraceptive reflects, see, as high will be the use of the contraceptive, as low will be the total fertility rate. This is less than 2. This is almost near about 2. And if it goes to 48, it is 3. And see, near about 5, where the contraceptive use, Nepal and Pakistan, only 28% of the women are using any contraceptive method. As a result, the total fertility rate is near about 5. That means every woman in her reproductive life giving birth to near about 5 children. So as high will be the use of the contraceptive, as low will be the birth rates, low will be the general fertility rates. Then there is a thing which is known as the life table, and different other measures. There are 2 measures, lifespan and the longevity, 2 specific aspects of the mortality. And now you see, lifespan is the oldest age to which human beings can survive. It is entirely a biological phenomena. Up till now, the oldest man who has been identified was a 120-year-old Japanese person, and he died in 1986. And that's the maximum potential. But today, most people live only half of that age. And the life expectancy in Pakistan is near about 63.5. Longevity of life is the age to which the peoples actually survive. Their demonstrated ability, it is influenced by biological as well as the social factors. And the biological factors, you know, are including the genetic characteristics like strength of vital organs, exposure to particular disease, and family history, choice of long life parent, which is not our own choice. This is by Almighty Allah. Then there are the social factors, which are the proper food supply, living conditions, access to medical care, lifestyle such as consumption of certain food items, occupation, use of tobacco, exercise patterns, etc. So there are the 2, biological, in which there is genetic factor as well, and the social factors, in which the food and the lifestyle and other things. Rapid mortality decline. The deaths has decreased because of industrialization, increased agriculture, production of the food supply, improved transportation, social reforms, reduced working hours and improved working conditions, control of temperature and humidity, improvement in public sanitation, improved personal hygiene, development and large-scale use of the vaccines against major diseases. All these factors decreased the death rates, decreased the mortality. Mortality decreased, but if fertility or the birth does not decreases, then the growth rate increases. So the advanced countries decreased mortality by using in advance all these factors But they as well decrease their birth rates by using the contraceptive, by using the late marriages, by giving less number of the born to children, and they maintained their status of life and their growth of country. So basic mortality measures, you know, the crude death rates, like the basic birth measures were the crude birth rate. So the crude death rate, you know, is what the mortality actually expressed, number of deaths in a year, mid-year population of that country in that year, multiplied by 1,000. So similarly, like crude birth rate, here was the number of births in a year, and here was the total the same mid-year population. Here birth has been replaced by the deaths, so the crude birth rate has been replaced by crude deaths. So crude death rate is the death rate of any country. And crude death rate is generally considered a poor measure of mortality, since it does not take age structure of the population into account. Now see, for example, it is usually higher in countries where the percentage of the older people is high. For example, I say that crude death rate of Japan is 10 per thousand, and say the crude death rate of Pakistan is 6 per thousand. Okay, that indicates that less number of the persons are being dying in Pakistan as compared to Japan. There are more number of the persons are dying in Japan. So Pakistan's health status is much more better than Japan. But this is the wrong conclusion. This is because of the difference in the age structure. More number of the older peoples are present there in Japan. Therefore, the age specific death rate of that age group, 60 to 65, more than 60 is high, and their total death rate is becoming high. See the example here, the crude death rates of different countries. So Russia, the crude death rate is 15, okay, 15%. But what is the population percentage of 60 years or older? This is 17. But in Pakistan, the crude death rate is 8. This looks much better than Russia, than UK. But why this is looking better? This is a false impression, because the percentage of the peoples who are more than 60 years is just 6. It's just 5. So 5% of peoples are there more than 60 years of age. That is why the crude death rate is less as compared to Russia. How can we nullify these false effects or impression? This is through age-specific death rate. As like the age-specific fertility rates, if you see the age-specific death rates of different age groups, this is the adjusted for age and determine the mortality rate in age group, usually in 5-year intervals, defined as death in a year of a person age. For example, I am calculating his death in under 1 year of age. So death in a year of a person of age less than 1 year. Okay, X years, I say this is less than 1 year. So the number of persons in number of population in that year multiplied by 1,000. So if you are calculating it in less than 1 year, 1 to 5, 4 years, 5 to 9 years. For example, I am calculating age-specific death rates of 50 to 59 years of age. So number of deaths of the persons in between 50 to 59 years of age will be the numerator, and number of persons in between the age 50 to 59 will be the denominator multiplied by 1,000. If you will calculate this age-specific death rate, then you will find that age-specific death rate of Pakistan for 50 to 59 will be much higher as compared to Russia. Okay, but if you will see the crude death rate, that will be higher in Russia. So these rates are usually calculated separately for males and females, since they are different risk of dying. Now see the age-specific death rates of different countries. Say the age-specific death rate less than 1 year in Pakistan is 85.3. That means that, for example, if your constant was 1,000, 85.3 children per 1,000 live births are dying in Pakistan in 1 year. Okay, while the age-specific death rate of UK for less than 1 year is only 9.2. Means out of every 1,000 children who are getting born in United Kingdom, the 9 children are dying only. So this is one. At every age-specific death rate, every segment of population, you see the age-specific death rate of Pakistan will be high as compared to age-specific death rate of UK, except the bigger age groups. Now come here. Okay. Now see, the age-specific death rate has started increasing from here. Okay. And see, 65 plus 61, now here 87.6. 60 to 64, 22, more than double, 55.2. And this, what effect this did? This did that crude death rate is 7.2 of Pakistan, but 11 in the United Kingdom. So means total birth rate, total death rate, crude death rate, if you will see, you will think that health status of Pakistan is much better, but this is not true. Most of the population is dying in the young ages, and there is less number of the pupils in old ages. So the death rate are less, and this is similar. Then there is another measure of mortality is the maternal mortality ratio. This is a widely used type of the cause-specific mortality rate, representing approximately the risk of dying as a result of complications of pregnancy and childbirth. Maternal mortality rate is being defined as the number of deaths of the mother during pregnancy and within 42 days after childbirth due to the causes of the pregnancy or the causes which are being aggravated by pregnancy. It doesn't mean that if a pregnant woman jumps from a 42 floor building and dies, so this will not be a maternal mortality rate. Okay, maternal mortality rate, death because of the pregnancy and the causes which are being aggravated by pregnancy. During pregnancy or within 42 days after birth. This is called the period of puerperium per 100,000 per lakh live births. So MMR, maternal mortality rates, can be calculated death of the woman during pregnancy, complications, or within 42 days after delivery. Live births in a year will be the denominator per 100,000 live births. Okay, this is another measures. Mortality at early ages are the important measures as infant mortality rate, number of deaths of the infant less than 1 year, divided by total number of live births, multiplied by 1,000. IMR deserves special consideration because it is one of the main indicators of social, economic, and health conditions in a population. Besides, it can be reduced in short span of time through public health measures and proper care of the pregnant women and the newborn. So when we measure, when we compare the health status of different countries, we compare the infant mortality rates, we compare with the under 5 mortality rates, we compare with the maternal mortality rates, and these rates directly reflects the health status of any country. Now see the infant mortality rates decline of Sri Lanka and Pakistan. Both started in 1921 to 1930, started from above 200. Above 200 number of the children were dying out of every 1,000 children who are being born. Pakistan's infant mortality rate at the time in 2000 is near about 90 per 1,000 live birth, but the Sri Lanka declined to near about 25. So we see the decline in Sri Lanka and see the decline in Pakistan. So this is how we can say, okay, what is the health status of Sri Lanka and what are the health status of Pakistan. Now again, see the same things, that infant mortality rate decline in between different Muslim countries here. So the Indonesia is, was 128 in 1960 and it became 46 in 2000. Okay. Similarly, all the countries you can see here, Pakistan, in 1960, the infant mortality rate was 139. Still, it is 84. Pakistan's infant mortality rate at the time is the highest among all these countries, while it was not the highest in 1960. So, less decline because of the less health status. Then there are different other mortality specific age rates, and these are the neonatal mortality rate. Neonatal mortality rate is the number of deaths of neonates divided by the total number of live births. But the neonatal mortality rate can be further divided into early neonatal mortality rate, late neonatal mortality rate, post neonatal mortality rate, and the perinatal mortality rate. So the early neonatal mortality rate, death under 1 week divided by total number of live births. Okay. Late neonatal, from 1 week to 4 weeks, 1 week to 1 month. So less than 1 week is the early neonatal. After 1 week, up till 4 week or 1 month is the late neonatal. Post neonatal is after neonate, and after neonate means after 1 month. Up till 1 month or the 4 weeks we call neonate. If we combine these two, early neonatal mortality rate and late neonatal mortality rate, this will become the neonatal. Okay, so the neonatal is divided into two, early neonatal and the late neonatal. Okay, then post neonatal, that means from 1 month to 52 weeks, near about 1 year. So this is what the post neonatal mortality rate. Denominator is same among all, is the live births in a year, except here the perinatal mortality rate. Perinatal mortality rate includes the early neonatal mortality rates, means death under 1 week. Okay, see here, death under 1 week, plus the stillbirths. Okay, if we combine these two, then it becomes the perinatal mortality rate. Okay, so in denominator again, we will combine the two, live births plus the stillbirths, multiplied by 1000. So this will become the perinatal mortality rate, and these are the. Then there are different adjustment rates. Adjustment rates means standardized rates that I said. For example, I'm giving an example that death rate of Japan in between 60 to 65 years of age is 15, while in Pakistan is 7. So there is difference. But this difference is that Pakistan health status is good. But this is not true. For comparing these type of things, we do some statistical measures, and they are called the adjustment of rates or standardization of rates. There are two methods of standardization. They are the direct or the indirect methods, or they are again called the multiplication method or the addition method. Direct method is more preferred, and you can see the standardized rates and their calculation of the direct method and indirect methods in the next slides, and you can work it here. The formula of direct method, and then there is the formula of indirect method as well. This is, you can see these slides. These are the more extensive and in-depth biostatistics slides. So I recommend you to must go once through these calculation and calculate yourself the standard age specific standardized rates of Pakistan and UK, so you can understand, calculate it with both the direct method and indirect method. And this is your home assignment. And when we will start the next lecture, we will start from here, and I will ask that how many of you has calculated and what the difficulties they came across to this. When to use the direct or indirect method, and you can see here as well. And then there is last 2 or 3 slides. There are the life tables. There are two major types of the life tables: cohort life tables and the period or the current life tables. It can be complete single years or averaged 5 years age group. Life tables are also divided into population and the clinical life tables. Population life tables, it summarizes the mortality of a specific population, usually in periods, but sometimes cohort, if small populations, will short-lived or survival is available. Clinical life table, it is used to describe survival of the group of the patients. Okay, if you are doing for the group of population or general population, this is the population life table. If you are doing for some disease, this is the clinical life table. For example, what is the survival rate of carcinoma of colon in stage 2? So it means that you are calculating that if a person is being diagnosed for the carcinoma of colon in stage 2, how many years he will live. This is what the clinical life table is. Life table predicts what would happen hypothetical to a birth cohort For example, what will happen to a child who is getting born in 2020? So you can say in the 2020, 90 children out of 1,000 will die before 1 year of age. So what are the chances of these children to die? And similarly, long age-specific death rates for a specific period were applied throughout the experience of a set of population, and on the basis of the present situation related to death in each age group to the future predicted age-specific death rates. On the basis of that, this life table are being calculated. Life expectancy is the expectation of life in different countries, that if a person is getting born in Pakistan, what is expected that how many years he will be alive, and if it is getting born in Japan, what is the life expectancy, how many years he will live. And it is usually it depends on different socioeconomic factors and different health status factors, different age-specific mortality rate. Influences of the age and sex are already accounted for, and it is influenced by both biological and socioeconomic factors, including lifestyle. And it is calculated with the help of life table. Now, these are examples of expectations of live births in selected and selected countries. So you see that if anyone is getting born in Japan, he is expected to, if it is female, 85 years life, if it is male, 78 years of life. So this is what if he is getting born in Pakistan, the life expectancy is 63.5 years. Similarly, in China, near about 70 years. In UK, 75 to 80 years. This is what the life expectancy is. So if someone is the question, what book to use to study this topic? Okay, I use different books, but they are so expensive and not extensive. I should say they are more detailed. As far as your level is concerned, at the third year MBBS textbook of Elias et al., the Park, the demographic chapter in Park, and in Zulfaqar. So the demography, as much as given in those books, are sufficient up to your own level. But if someone is interested to study the more in-depth, this is a very interesting topic, and many of the things I had left. What is the theory of Karl Marx? What is the theory of different others, sociologists and demographics? So there are different other books as well. So I may I said send all your textbook, then the Parks, J.E. Parks, and then the Zulfaqar, and then different other books of demography. Direct and indirect standardization I had left intentionally because of the shortage of time, and because that I have given you a home assignment of this. So there are 4 slides of the direct and indirect standardization, and you have to read it and calculate with one from direct method and one from the indirect method. Standardization's purpose, I said that, for example, why do we standardize? There are 2 populations and we want to compare them. And we say then in population A, the tooth decaying rate is 6%. And in population B, the tooth decaying rate is 2%. Okay. So the tooth giving false impression. To minimize or to exclude this bias, we standardize the rates. Okay? And then through this standardization, we can compare. Now, what is how we standardize it? Through direct method, and we standardize it through indirect method. This is what your home assignment is. I will welcome for 1 minute or 2 if anyone is having any other question. before ending it. Okay. Thank you very much. So nice of all of you for sharing with us. Thank you very much. वालेकुम सलाम
क्लास एंड कर दूं सर मैं
जी बेटा कर दीजिए
थैंक यू सर थैंक यू सो मच
थैंक यू वेलकम।